Hi folks, welcome to my 8-Bit Retro Journal. So back in September I participated in Septandy, and then in November I actually created my own and had a group of us participate in QL November. And now there's a group of folks doing DOSSember, and I didn't really think I was going to participate in that. But I had forgotten about one piece of software that I actually did own that I used was actually Msq-Link. And see if we can zoom in on that. So I actually have the original disk, and so that was a piece of software that allowed the QL to read MS-DOS disks, and I'm going to show that at the end today, because the other piece of software I want to showcase is the PC actually had an emulator. It's called Conqueror, done by one of my favorite companies, Digital Precision. I was able to procure a copy of it. I didn't own one back in the 90s, and unfortunately it's abandonware now, so it's really hard to find, but I was able to obtain a copy to demo here today, and so I want to do that, and I've been playing around with it this week, and it's actually much more impressive than I would have expected. Now, one thing you can see, I have some stuff here sitting on my desktop. I've got this is a 512K expansion RAM by Miracle Systems. These were the same folks that this is the cover for it. These were the same folks that made the gold card, which was an accelerator card, and then this is a Kempston disk interface, which came out in 1984, actually the same year the QL came out. I got this 512K extension RAM kind of towards the end of my usage of the QL. I never really used it much, partly because it kind of, well, you combine those and those, it kind of sticks out on the side of the QL a bit more than looks good, I think, even though it has this plastic, or actually this black cover. It's made out of metal, and it doesn't look all that great, but I think towards the end I was kind of moving to the Macintosh, and I think somebody in a local users group gave me this, and I think I used it once or twice for compatibility reasons, needed to run some software, but generally I use the QL sort of unexpanded, especially since I've been working on my CX81 emulator, CX simulator, and kind of wanted to run on an unexpanded machine. This Msq-Link software actually does run on an unexpanded machine. And the way I used to use my computer back then is I'd have this thing plugged in, and this thing actually kind of plugs in and fits in most all the way in. And so all you saw was a cable coming out to the disk drive. You can also see that I procured a floppy drive. I actually took this out of the office desktop machine, a Lenovo desktop, which is probably 2010 or 11 or so, and I grabbed the cable here as well. So one thing about the cable is the way it was in the Lenovo desktop is it actually had this cable twisted, and that didn't work, so I untwisted it and just temporarily pierced new holes, and that actually causes it to work for disk 2, or what the QL calls floppy 2. I also had to create, I didn't have the right Molex connector to power this, and so I had this pass-through connector that has a female plug, and then I have the male plug is right here. And you can actually easily pull out the metal ends. There's a couple of tabs in there. You can just push them out. So that's what I did. And I ended up using some electrical tape and wrapping each pin individually, continuously, and putting them together. And so I got the right 5 and 12 volt signals. I do have this piece of hardware, which allows you to, so this is a USB 2.0 to SATA IDE USB adapter, and so it has a if you look at there's a power supply right there that gives you the 12 and 5 volts that plugs into here, and so this had the right connector, but it only had one and needed to go here to power the drive, and so I from here, I had that pass-through connector, and so I just had to create my own. But anyway, I'm able to power the floppy drive, and so that'll work. And so, this is not how I use my computer. I did have a floppy drive in its own enclosed case, and then used my disk interface, and that's kind of how I used my my computer in the last year and a half before I moved on to the Macintosh. I almost so when you see me showcasing the PC emulator, it runs okay even on an expanded machine. It does need the extra memory, obviously, because MS-DOS needs the extra memory. The emulator itself is only about 76K in size, and it's just an executable, so that's pretty impressive. So I'm going to connect these up, and I'll come back and show you how that looks, and then I'll show some software that runs on it. So here we go. I have the memory card plugged into the QL, and the QL is powered up. And you can see that it kind of sticks out a little bit, and then the disk interface is plugged into this through port for the 512K RAM expansion. By the way, the RAM expansion was also done by Miracle Systems, the maker of the Gold Card. And then it has this little cover that I'm going to shove over, but you can see before I do that it's loaded as Kempston Disk System version 1.14. Copyright 1984, so it's been out there pretty early on. Okay, so what I want to do is slowly push this in. See if I can do that. Without destroying anything. There we go. I cover it up like that. And so that's kind of what you end up getting. It's not my favorite look. This is not plastic, this is metal. I mean, you can put a cup of coffee there, I guess, or maybe since it's the holidays, I could set the Santa on there. So it's a bit strange looking. As I said, if I were to, I might in 2021 buy the Gold Card because it's the same size as the disk interface. And again, the way I used it in the 90s, I just had it sticking out here. Although I'm not planning on keeping this disk drive, but maybe a GoTech, I don't know. It really depends. There's also an SD-ROM card coming out that plugs into the back of the ROM port. So there's other ways to deal with external stuff. Well, media more, other than the V drive, which can only do 128K at a time. But all right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to set up my camera so that you can see my screen. So let's do that. So I didn't show this earlier, but I have a couple of MS-DOS floppies that I'm going to use. DOS 5.0 bootable disk. So here, let me focus in on that. I don't have the ICE interface this time, so. But yeah, so the software that I have an MDV5. I think it's MDV5. Nope. That is actually the Msq-Link software. So it's MDV3 that I have the. It turns out that this was not run by the same company, Digital Precision. MDV3, I think, is what I want it to be. And I can't do a size on that, but Conqueror is the actual executable, and that's all you need. So the way you run it is you just simply do MDV3 com, and I'm going to put the DOS bootable disk into my drive. You'll hear that. And this will, so this will start up. And so I have to hit 2 for floppy 2. So if I do that, this is going to hit the floppy disk here in a second. Here it is. And so now it's just going to boot up. And you'll see the DOS prompt is going to come up pretty quickly. I'll probably, I think the first program I'm going to run is the word processor. I have WordPerfect, and I just wanted to show you how that runs. It's actually pretty cool. Now, I haven't figured out a way to exit it yet because the Alt combination key with the plus key, you can set the key mappings, and I just haven't figured out what the proper key mapping is. But I've fixed a bunch of other key mappings so I can actually load and save files, and it actually runs really decently. And so I'm going to show you how to load that. And then when I go through some of the other software, I will stop the camera, get the software loaded, because sometimes it can take a minute or two to load. But here we go. We have the DOS prompt. And like a good DOS user, I'm not going to put... yeah, so here we go. We've got MS-DOS, and we have the... and what I have on this disk is command.com, config sys, and then a couple of directories. And it does get cut off on the screen. I should run it in monitor mode, which on my QL I need to do, because I don't have the RGB to SCART or HDMI box. I'd have to run it in monochrome, so I'm trying to run it in color. But what I can do is I can clear the screen. Yeah, so that works. And so I'm going to put in the other disk, because that has the word processor, and do a dir on that. So one thing that at least I haven't read enough the manual yet is, I don't know if the Conqueror lets you hit the QL's media so you can copy things over, but I have Msq-Link that lets me do that. So if I cd into WP, and I'm not going to list it because it has a bunch of files in there, but one of the things that's in there is WP-exe. So if I just type WP, you'll see that it's going to load WordPerfect. And this is 3.0, one of the earliest versions. I tried to find the earliest version I could. I think I have an early version of Microsoft Word, but it's on a 5¼ inch floppy, so don't know how to transfer that. So yeah, so now it's reading the disk, and here we go. WordPerfect, copyright 1982 to 1983, and so this one's strange. It doesn't give you like a ruler or anything, so that's all you get. And from there you can, yeah, and I can type, hi, how are you? I haven't figured out yet how to do underlines and stuff, but I have figured out that Alt-3 gives you, you can get a file management menu, and it's actually, I think, very usable. So if I go and do that, so this will show you what's in the WP directory, and it gives you, yeah, sort of a little, so it's waiting for calculating available space, and there it just gives you sort of, yeah, and I already have a test document, so I can retrieve, yeah, so if I hit 1, so this lets me go up and down. So yeah, this is running, it's actually, like I said, I was surprised with an unaccelerated, so this is going to read in, yeah, so it just inserts it. So I had hello world written twice in that file, and so and there's other things, so control, so I can go control, I think, yeah, so this lets me save it. I think I can just say escape. No. Control 7. Yeah, Control 7 lets me retrieve a document, and I can just quit that. And then Control 3 again is this file management. Yeah, and you can do stuff with printers, with fonts, etc. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. Right now, unfortunately, I can't exit this because it was supposed to be Control Alt plus. It just doesn't work. So it just adds the space. But yeah, considering this is running emulated on a 7.5 megahertz 84 computer, it's pretty impressive. So let me show you the next thing, which is DOSShell, which also runs, but I'm going to stop so that you don't have to sit there and have me reboot. So it's booted up again. I CD'd into the DOS directory, and so this is the first disk, the bootable disk. So the cursor is cut off right at the bottom. You can only see part of it, but you'll see enough. So I'm just going to type DOSShell, and this will take a little bit to boot. So I might, yeah. So it's printing the. I'm going to have to probably readjust the. Okay, so it's doing it for me. Okay. Reading disk information. Yeah. So now it's kind of reading what's on the disk, creating the disk tree, and so what's cut off here is the bottom, which has the menu options of what you can do. And again, if I run this in monochrome mode on my composite, I can get that bottom line. So I'm just going to live with that for now. Let's see if I can. That's a little better. And so yeah, I can go and see. I think it's Control F is the menu, and then hit the down arrow, and this will print the menu out. And you can see all the features you have. And again, it's somewhat responsive. And again, considering it's almost like running on a slow machine, but I mean yeah. I mean, it just, may be frustrating to use, but considering you're running this on a 7.5 megahertz 1984 machine, I mean, it's not like you're sitting there waiting. I mean, from what I've read on the Atari ST and the Amiga's emulators, the non-hardware based, the software based ones, they were doing much worse than this. Unfortunately, I don't have either one's hardware, so I can't do a comparison, but this is, in my opinion, pretty good. And if I hit escape, it should clear that up and print back what's under there. But so yeah, let's get out of this and go. It's going to draw that again, and then I just don't know if I can get Alt F4. That's why I'm using the. And so I'll get out of that. And the next thing I wanted to run is if it goes back to the screen, it's on the same, yeah, all right. So I might have to reboot here this time. So the next one, I was actually pleasantly surprised when I found the program. This is Scion Chess PC, and I have the QL version. I showed it in my last video. I'm playing some QL gaming, but so CD up, and then I guess I'm already up. I can just do a dir here just to see where I am. And yep, I'm already up. So I have to just go CD games, right? So. And I think it's CD games, and then I'm going to clear the screen into a directory. I think it's just going to have a few games in here, and the first one I'm going to run is Cyan Chess, which is, yeah. So these are a bunch of CGA games that I found, but Scion Chess was I was most pleasantly surprised by that. CD Cyan, and then I think I just have to type chess. Again, it has a few helper files, so I'm not going to list that. But this one didn't take all that long to run, and graphically it was actually pretty impressive. So I want to press C for IBM Color Card. And again, I'm going to have to stick with what the screen is giving me, because it's doing pretty good right now, I think. It's a little grainy because I'm zooming in versus moving the phone closer, but my camera closer, but that's just the best way I can do it. I don't have a little table mount camera holder, and so this is the best I can do at the moment. But yeah, you can hear it hitting the disc. But I was surprised when that it actually worked. I tried a bunch of different games, and some of them just get stuck. But the ones I found here work, and these are I found them on various sites that have CGA. So here it's going to print the board. Little slow to print the board, but it's still a playable game, and I'm going to show you how. And this is actually, like I said, I have the Scion Chess version for the QL, so this is almost the same game. Now, using the CGA graphics, it doesn't center the screen, but not the worst thing in the world. There we go. And you can, it's weird how it draws the graphics, but now if I move the cursor, right, and I can hit return, and then move up. Hit return. So it uses return instead of space. On the QL it uses space. But yeah, it moves it up. I mean, it's playable. And I'll show you the next cool thing about it. So while it's thinking, I'm going to hit F2, which actually puts it in. "3D mode," just like on the QL. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this game is actually playable. Now, most of the other games are not as playable, but this one is actually playable. I was actually really impressed with that. So it's going to draw the 3D board here in a second. Yeah, some of the other games, Donkey Kong, here we go. There's a biplane one, there's a chopper one. It's just too slow, and I can't get, for some of them I don't know what the key bindings are. It's asking for a joystick and it doesn't work. But for like Baby, which is like you drop Baby from a burning building, that one actually works, although it's not as fun. Donkey Kong, I just don't know how to jump the. So yeah, you can see that, and here the QL, or the PC Conqueror, is now moving its piece, and so I was actually very impressed with the fact that it can even do. Obviously, we're talking 1984 hardware running, emulating a PC, doing a graphics game. So if that doesn't impress you, obviously you're spoiled by modern computing. But yeah, this isn't a slow text adventure. This is actually doing the, maybe I can, it's a little, hold on, let's see if I can, that's a little better. Yeah, so let's wait till the PC moves next. I was just floored when this ran, because, like I said, on the QL you have it's green and white, and the pieces are green and red. I think, I forget. It's been well, I did play it last week, but it kind of all blurs. So here they use black and white, but there is a little bit of purplish red on the bottom. But yeah, just thought it was kind of cool to see that. So of course, the computer thinking its next move is going to take a little while. So the graphics aren't even the problem here. It's just doing doing its thinking in terms of what it should do next. If it takes too much longer, I'm just going to quit out of this. But this was the most impressive game in terms of its actual playability and speed on the emulator. So if you didn't have a chess program, yeah, you could play this one. But it definitely, this reminds me when I did my Tim Hartnell chess versus CX81 1K chess. Yeah, it's almost taking about as much time. So maybe I've trained myself not to worry so much about, there it goes, quick chess, but then again, I'm a bad chess player, so I need all the time I can have to, but yeah, it's kind of doing the graphics pretty decently, I mean, considering, so if I go back to display mode, so it's going to have to redisplay the screen. Like I said, I thought this was the most impressive of the games. Of course, it has to hit the disc as well. Now, if I had the gold card by Miracle Systems, the computer runs like 4 or 5 times faster. This would actually be all very reasonable. And so the Conqueror was actually written for the gold card. They have a special edition one that requires the 1 megabytes that, well, I think gold card gives you 2 megabytes, but Conqueror requires 1 megabyte. A special edition requires 1 megabyte. This one doesn't. This one will actually work in the 512 or 640K that I'm running it in. But what I wanted to do is quit. So I think it's just Q. It's a little different. Let's see if it quits. Press enter to quit. Yeah. So that one was another successful game. And so the next one is Baby. And I think it's just a Baby. So I went into the Scion directory, and this is the games directory. So this one is also a playable game. The other thing I can run in here as well is QBasic. So I have a copy of that. And what's interesting about that is I was able to run the Gorilla game that I think comes with it, but it was unplayable. I mean, it literally took forever to throw a banana. So here, what seems like many of the games do, maybe it happens so quickly you don't see, is they actually draw the characters, the animations, and must stick them in memory. I don't know if this is an emulator thing where it's showing it to you, and on a PC it wouldn't show it to you, but many games seem to be doing this, so I don't know if Conqueror is showing you sort of the screen when it shouldn't be. QBasic did the same thing, and then once it sort of generates these sprites, it starts drawing the game. And of course the colors are all off too. The QL in high res mode can only show red, green, black, and white. So I don't know if these colors actually match up. And again, we're missing a little bit of like one line on the bottom of the screen, but yeah, space to bar to start game. Let's start the game. So this one was actually a little playable in that you could literally move the so these guys will move. So I'm moving them, and when a baby comes out, your job is to catch it and then bounce it. It's still there. I think it just isn't. A baby comes trotting. I'm guessing that in a full speed game, it's actually pretty action packed. So here you're going to have to wait. So this is probably not as playable, but it's the one at least where all the keyboard stuff worked. I'm just going to wait for one baby to show up, and your job is that when the baby falls, you're supposed to catch it and it bounces, catch it again, and you're trying to get it to the ambulance. Baby will come here in a second. Here it is. I'm just going to do one. And you'll see that it's just kind of like, oh, I assume it drops down really fast in the actual game. So this is probably painful. But it was still a playable game. And I'm guessing that yeah, it's going to go. I'm guessing that there'll be multiple babies in wave 2, making it harder. That might make it more interesting in this slower speed. But if I'll eventually try this using lightning, and maybe that can speed it up a little bit, because if it's speeding up graphics and Conqueror uses that. I'll do Donkey Kong next, which was another interesting game. But this one, again, draws the animation's okay, but I just can't control it doesn't seem to read left, right, up, down arrows. So I need to figure out what the key map for those are. but at least it it ran. So here you'll see that yeah, so it's going to draw the donkey and the jumping man, and so it's doing all the different various icons. And then as soon as so I guess it's creating these sprites, and then when it's done, it's going to I think here's a good space to start. Yeah, and then it gives you the to avoid. Yep. Are you using a joystick? No. And enter number. I want fast because slow would be impossible. Yeah, and so now it just draws the. And there's the damsel in distress and the monkey. But unfortunately, yeah, I just cannot. There's just nothing I can do to move it. I have tried to figure out how to move it. When I use joystick, all he does is jump. So again, there's just some key binding that I haven't figured out yet. So I'm trying a bunch of keys. You can hear it. But anyway, it's kind of slow anyway to play. So let me show you the next game, which is Hop. So this one I don't think I can escape. So this game is called Sopwith, which is like a sort of a biplane scrolls to the right kind of game. The only problem is I just don't know the key combinations. So it lets you select joystick or IBM keyboard or non-IBM keyboard. I chose the non-IBM keyboard, and the only thing I figured out is if I do left, it starts taking off, but it soon land. I mean, and then I don't know if I keep pressing it, it just kind of rotates, but I don't know how there's thrust or. You'll see that it's going to run out of steam here in a second, so I don't know if I'm supposed to hit return. I mean, I've tried all sorts of things, and you'll see that at one point it's going to come crashing down. I can drop a bomb. Nope. Yeah, it dropped the bomb, and then of course I'm going down, and there's nothing I can do. It's like I'm losing thrust, and it's obviously, so this one's not very playable. If I could only figure out how to, yeah, so I dropped the bomb and I crashed into the bomb that I dropped, and it'll create a little crater there. So you can see at the top it has like a flock of birds at times falling. So it'll actually draw the next plane here. If I fire, I can do that, and it'll shoot the, I have no idea what that is. It seems not to scale. If it's looks like a cat or horse or something, but it's kind of large for the. In any case, so this is not as playable, and then you can see below the screen there's actually a map that you don't get to quite see. All right, so that's this is Chopper Command, and I've tried the practice mission, and I definitely the key. The keyboard does work for this, but the lag causes me to crash right away. So let me give this a try. I'm going to hit practice mission, and that's going to draw the playing field. So this is again a sort of a scroll right kind of game, and it's going to give a I forget what it puts in here. It gives you some instructions. Is to fly 3 screens to the right, 3 miles, and then shoot down the helicopter. After that, return back to the base. Remember to press E to eject if things go rough. Good luck. And then it kind of blinks the space bar. Alright, so I'm going to hit the space bar. And again, let's see how it... The screen flat, yeah, so here it draws that, and the helicopter is going to sit sort of at the bottom here. No, that's not going to happen. There it goes. So the helicopter is there. You can see it says go up, take off, gear down. So there's a whole bunch of commands of putting gear up and whatnot. So this is kind of a fun adventure game, and they have a good instruction set. But I just want to take off, and so you'll see that as I take off, things aren't going to go well. So the helicopter takes off, and I need to go forward, and now I need to go down before I hit the ceiling, and then as I go forward, I need to go up again, down again, and as I said, the lag is so much. I just can't get out of that little hole. So got a nice little explosion, but actually I made it out of the hole at one point, but it's just still it's kind of cool to see that the game actually plays even if it's slow. And I can only imagine if I had a QL Gold card, this would probably be playable. And so in that sense, Conqueror kind of adds more games. Still, it's kind of fun. That is that's the last game I'm going to show you. So the final thing I'm going to do is I don't think I can get out of this. I think I'm going to have to reboot. See what it says. Bad takeoff. You think you need to work? Press space key. Yeah, let's see where that gets me. But the last thing I wanted to show you is just QBasic runs, and you can actually. So this is QDOS. So press escape to clear dialog box. Yep. And then again, the bottom is getting cut off because I'm in TV mode, but I think I can still. So let's see if we can run it. A small program. 10, 4, so slow, I equals 1 to 10, 20, print I, 30, next I. So we'll see how that. Obviously, the screen coloring isn't the best, but and this one is pretty unusable, I think. But I just wanted to show it anyway. Why not? The yeah, again with a QL accelerator like a QL Gold card, this will probably work. So if I go R, start. See what this does. It probably is going to do it on the bottom screen though, so it's probably not going to work. Okay, so back to where I was, this time in composite monochrome mode, and you can see that I can see the bottom menu bar finally, and of course the text is also clear to read. So let's try this again with Control R. See if it was giving a start. No, runs current program. Yeah, I ended up rebooting. QBasic was just stuck, and I'm not sure why. I know I've been able to run on the command line. I was able to type QBasic space and then a basic program, and that ran. It really ran slowly. I had the Gorilla Bass, which is a game that would run, but it took a long time. Anyway, so what I want to show you, the final thing is the Msq-Link stuff. So I did own that software in the early 90s. And that allowed me to not run basic programs, but take floppy disks from PCs at work and take it home and be able to look at the information there. So let me boot up in. I'm going to boot up in monitor mode, and I've already got this sort of set up. Hold on. So so it's lrun mdv5 boot mdv5. And so this is going to start up, and this actually didn't require the extra memory. This would run on unexpanded QL. Obviously it required my disk card, which I had at the time, and I was able to utilize that program to be able to read in and manipulate DOS files. Now the one negative on this is that it does not do directory structures, so you can only do flat files. I'm not sure why, but here we are. It says press Control C to activate. So if I do that, F3 kind of gives you the menu of choices. So it doesn't use dir. It uses D for wildcard, and with wildcards for DOS, and QD for QDOS, and you can set drives. So for the QL, for instance, it gives you some more options. I can say MDV4, and that should set the drive to MDV4. And then if I do QD, now it's doing this weird, yeah, so it's doing this weird thing of operation not completed. I'm not sure what that means, but it's reading the data, so I don't know if it's trying to get a size or a date, and I didn't give a date. But then if I do D, this will give it, and it'll read the disks in here. Now again, unfortunately, I'm not able to go inside of the directory, so it has to be flat file as far as I can tell. But if I do, so if I put in the other disk, I can look at the config.sys and do a directory listing again, and then I believe it was V for view. So I could look at yeah, so I could do V auto exec dot, and I named it this way to turn it off. I think this will just print it out to the screen. Yeah. So and of course you can then also copy stuff over. Banner bass. So I could go W banner bass, and this would write banner bass onto my. But again, if I do a directory listing again, and yeah, you can see it's just when it's hitting the drive, it's doing that. And then banner bass is there. So if I view banner bass, I've just copied it over, and it should just be my little banner bass program. So again, another useful MS-DOS tool. Yeah, there it is. And nice to have had back in the 90s. Anyway, let me just change my camera. Yeah, so thanks for watching me. This is my entry for DOScember, and I'll have more videos for the rest of the few more videos for the rest of the year through Christmas. I hope everyone stays safe. Have a happy holiday. Santa says hi, and thanks for watching. Stay safe.